Hey, fancy listeners. Franchesca Hampton here, and I am honored that you took time to tune in once again. And I'm committed to sharing content that will make you glad you did. So, welcome to the Fancy Thoughts Podcast, a weekly podcast designed to give you perspective, insight, and encouragement to release the greatness inside of you. I want you to live fancy life, where you are fostering achievement, never compromising you, because someone is waiting for you. Before we get into this week's fancy thought, let's remind ourselves what we talked about last time. In episode 7, we talked about getting back up. We reminded ourselves that we don't want to retreat, to withdraw, to draw back in difficult circumstances when failure comes, when we reach disappointment. Instead, we need to learn to recover. We have to get back up. We have to regain our composure. And we have to remember that in order for us to release greatness, to be who we are truly designed to be, we have to make the decision to get back up. And now for this week's fancy thought. In preparation for this, I was thinking about a couple of different things that go through my mind as I think about how I release greatness, how I am showing up boldly. But I also think about the different challenges that I still experience on a day-to-day basis when it comes time to indeed release greatness or step into the assignment and the opportunities that I have been given. Also, in talking with other persons who are in that stage where they're saying, you know what, now is the time, I'm going to step out, I'm going to do it. There are a lot of different things that go through our minds. And so I want to kind of just bring a couple things to the table that will help us to continue to move forward in releasing greatness. And so this week's episode is entitled Contentment versus Complacency. Again, it's contentment versus complacency. These two are very close in nature, but they have very different outcomes or results. When you think about contentment, you may have different ideas of what it means to be content, to be happy, to be satisfied. And you think about other things when you think about being complacent. And you think about, okay, there's a level of satisfaction, but that satisfaction kind of gets stuck. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today. I was encouraged by this idea simply because of another situation I was going through personally. And the reason I share so many personal antidotes, if you will, or personal experiences is because I truly believe that when you can explain something from your own experience and make it real, it allows other people to resonate and relate to you. So that's why you have that wonderful pleasure of getting to know more and more about me each and every week. So this past week, I was actually challenged by a very good friend of mine about a similar situation that I actually expressed about a month ago. I did a video and I talked about acceptance. I was mentioning how I went to the store and I was looking for, some new jeans, and I, gained a little bit of weight over the past year. And so I was looking for jeans that would feel a little bit better. And the young lady that was helping us asked, what are you looking for? And I said, can you point me to the jeans that suck it all up and make it all disappear? Can you point me to that section? And she said, well, truly, the section that you're looking for is called acceptance. And it's where you are accepting where you are right now and understanding that things may change in the future. They may get better, but you have an appreciation and acceptance for where you are right now. And you buy for that, because you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. So you don't plan for that. You plan for this, where you are right now. And even though I heard that and it resonated with me so much, over the next couple of weeks, I still kept trying to go to that other section, the section that made things disappear, the section that, wouldn't show that I had gained weight or wouldn't make me feel different. And on this journey, I was speaking to another good friend of mine, and we are, doing some things to change our eating habits and get into exercise. But the one thing that I recognized that I started to really take hold of was the acceptance of where I am right now. Not that it will be where I always will be, but instead of beating myself up for where I am right now, finding the beauty in where I am right now, still with a goal of where I want to get to. And that just reminded me a lot about, again, this journey of releasing greatness and how we oftentimes can get stuck with the idea that what we have right now isn't good enough, or when we put it out, it won't be as well as we thought it would be. And so we're going to wait until it gets better. We're going to wait until it gets to that perfect place that we want it to be. But I guarantee you that waiting until that time where it will be perfect, it will never come, because there is no such thing as perfection. It just does not exist. Whatever you think is perfect right now, I guarantee if you look back on it, you will find all the flaws that you may not have seen originally. And so the reality is we don't strive for perfection, we strive for excellence. And so when we're striving for excellence, we have to understand that excellence is a progression, which means that I'm excellent where I am today, and I continue to strive for excellence and improvement as I go forward. How does this all relate back to the idea of contentment versus complacency? Well, let's start by looking at the word contentment or content. And content literally means a rest or quietness of the mind in the present condition. So even as I was talking about that level of acceptance, it's the understanding that where I am right now may not have been where I was a year ago or 2 years ago. And it may not be where I see myself ending up in the next 3 to 6 months. But I am still beautiful right now. I still look great in my clothes right now. I still am a healthy, beautiful woman right now. And if I get so focused on where I used to be or where I think I should be, I will miss out on the beauty that I exude right now. And I will be the one that makes it look ugly. I will be the one that will call attention to my flaws and to my mistakes and to the things that I find dissatisfying, whereas others actually will feed off of me. And so I have to get to a point where I have rest and quietness of the mind in my present condition. That's what it means to be content. And that's what it means to walk in contentment. It means that I have rest. I have peace in where I am right now. It's satisfaction, which holds the mind in peace. Right? It's restraining complaint, opposition, or further desire, and often implying a moderate degree of happiness. It does not mean that this is your final state of being. It does not mean that it can't get better. It does not mean that it won't change. It means that where I am right now, I am okay. Where I am right now, I can be satisfied. Where I am right now is enough. And so when I think about even releasing these podcasts or releasing my book, I can tell you that there have been so many things that have pulled me back from releasing my book because, I see other people doing it and mine isn't as good as theirs. Or, I see people speaking and producing content and mine isn't as good as theirs. Or, maybe if I do a few more classes, maybe if I do a few more tutorials, then I'll be ready. Then I. And the problem with that is you're missing out on what you have to offer right now. There is so much on the inside of you that needs to be released in its current state that will impact the lives of others if you would just release it. You have already stored up knowledge, experience, and understanding that when shared with someone else can change a perspective and release something on the inside of them just from hearing you say it right now. But you have to get to the point where you're content with it. Because the reality is, as I mentioned before, people feed off of us, right? If you don't think it's good enough, it's going to be very hard pressed for other people to believe better than you do. You cannot rise above your own impression of yourself. And we mentioned that earlier this week when we talked about what's your story. You place a ceiling over your success, over your value, over your influence by what you think about yourself. And whether you think you're hiding it or not, you exude it. You exude it in how you position yourself, you exude it in how you speak about yourself, you exude it in how you show up. And so we have to learn to be content. We have to learn to find that rest or quietness in the present condition. And all of that came from the Webster's 1828 definition of content. And so I'll read it again. Content is rest or quietness of the mind in the present condition. Satisfaction which holds the mind in peace, restraining complaint, opposition, or further desire, and often implying a moderate degree of happiness. I love that word in there that says restraining complaint, because when you're content, you don't complain. When I become content with the beauty that I exude right now, I don't need to complain. I don't need to draw attention to my imperfections because I'm content with where I'm at right now, because there is beauty in where I am right now. When I am content with my podcast being released as it is, I don't go behind myself and then talk about all of the things I did wrong. I don't go behind myself and talk about how my voice sounded weird or how I made that weird noise in the background and I'm sure everybody heard it. When I'm being content, when I'm in rest and quietness of the mind in my present condition, I don't complain about it. I'm not opposing myself because I'm at peace. I'm at peace. And so that's what I want to encourage you today, to find that place of contentment. Find that place of rest, of quietness in your mind. You are good enough where you are right now. You will continue to grow and improve, but what you have to offer right now is enough for right now. Because I guarantee you right now, there's somebody who needs what you have to say right now. Now, the flip side of that I want to make sure where we don't get stuck is understanding the difference when we get to complacency. Because complacency is a feeling of quiet pleasure or security, according to the Collins Dictionary. Again, it's a feeling of quiet pleasure or security, often while unaware of some potential danger, defect, or the like. It's also defined as self-satisfaction or smug satisfaction with an existing condition or situation. What does that mean? It's where you get to the point where, you know what? This is fine. I don't need to do anymore. Because even though when we're being content, we're satisfied in our current state, it doesn't mean that we're not still moving forward for improvement or to be better. But complacency says, this is enough. You know what? I'm fine right where I am. I know that this is not the best amount of quality that I can put out, but hey, I'm getting the views, I'm getting the results, I'm getting the likes, I'm getting the subscribes. So that's good enough. Right? Or it's the idea that, I don't have to do any more than this. This is sufficient. And we don't want to confuse the two, because contentment doesn't say I'm going to stay here. It says that I appreciate the value of what I have right here, but it's still always looking forward to areas of improvement and growth. Complacency is like getting stuck. It's like saying this is enough. It's settling. It's saying this is okay. And we never want to get there. You never want to get to a place of complacency where you feel that you are self-satisfied and with your existing condition, and it never needs to change. This affects people on the job. This affects people in their marriages, in their relationships, where they just get complacent. Before we got married, we dated often and we would spend time with ourselves. But, now we have kids and now we have more responsibilities and need to work to pay off this mortgage and all of these expenses. And we want to save up for the college, for our children's college tuition and all of this kind of stuff. So, this is enough. It's, we have dinner together every couple of months and stuff. And so that's sufficient. Or, we have dinner together on Sundays as a family. That's sufficient. You got complacent. You got to a point where you feel a quiet pleasure or security in your current situation, and you don't feel like you need to do anything more. And that's dangerous, especially in a relationship, because it is often said when you get married, you don't stop dating. You don't want to stop dating your spouse just because you're married. As a matter of fact, you want to date them even more, because that's what got you to the place where you wanted to date or to be married. That pursuit of enjoyment in each other's company, that pursuit of enjoyment of doing things together should never stop. Even on the job, we want to be careful not to get complacent. We don't want to get to a point where, we're getting the accolades, we're getting the, acknowledgement of our successes or our productivity, and we say, you know what? Good. What I'm doing is enough. And we stop improving. We stop growing. We stop learning. You never want to get to a place of complacency where you feel like you don't need to do anything more ever. You want to be content, not complacent. So in all of this, what am I trying to say? As you step forward in this week upcoming, number one, I want you to recognize that you have enough to release. You have enough to release right now. Whatever it is, I want you to make a plan for what you can present, provide, and expose to someone else right now, because you have it. What you have on the inside of you is enough. So do it now and continue to build on it. It's not saying that this is the end. This is not saying that this is all. This is saying this is the start. This is me getting started. This is me stepping out. This is me moving forward. And even as you do so, don't nitpick. Don't continue to find every flaw. Learn to be content. Learn to rest and find quietness of the mind in your present condition. restraining complaint and opposition. Believe in yourself. See greatness in yourself and then release it. And number 2, never get complacent. Never get to the point where what you're doing is enough that you never have to do anymore. We will always be learning. We will always be growing. We should always be improving, and change is a good thing. So find your way to continue to move forward while appreciating and valuing where you are today. Because as you continue to do this and as you continue to move forward, I can guarantee you someone is waiting for you. Thank you for joining us for the Fancy Thoughts podcast. I'm Franchesca Hampton, and I look forward to you tuning in again next week. And remember, you are well able, fully capable, and properly equipped to accomplish everything you were created for. So go and make this week a great one.